Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's a dog with you with another edition of Weber this week here on FingerLakes1.com. We welcome you to our studios in beautiful downtown Seneca Falls. And, of course, keep in mind, we're talking 73 tomorrow. So, if you haven't played enough golf, time to get out and play tomorrow. I wouldn't recommend getting on the lake, though. It's a little chilly. But anyways, hey, Halloween is coming up Friday. We're talking low 40s. So, the good is going to be today and tomorrow, and the bad is going to be the end of the week. How's everybody doing on a Monday morning, the 27th of October, 2014? And, of course, it's crazy how this year has just flown by. Today we got a couple of special guests that weeks ago we had the anti-Lago contingent in the studio, representatives who were anti-Lago, did not want it to be out in Sleepy, I call it Sleepy Tyre. And, of course, we listened to their views, and, of course, many people commented about their views. And only to be fair, we wanted to bring in a couple of people that are pro-Lago, hoping that it will happen, hoping that the license will be awarded to the Lago, the Wilmerite folks, which, of course, have invested a lot of money to bring this thing to reality if they get the license. Now, we understand. Let's introduce our my special guest this morning. First off, Bill Martin. Bill and his family own the Montezuma Winery. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And, of course, a friend of mine who I've known a long time, Gary Schlegel, the owner of the Magee Diner. Him and his mom, of course, I remember years ago being a member of the Magee fraternity, coming in there and enjoying some good food. And I continue to frequent his place quite often. Gary, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start off with Gary. Gary, of course, you are a business owner. You have a very vibrant business at the Magee Diner. I know personally because I'm there a lot. Talk a little bit about the casino and what, in your opinion, you're a businessman, what it will do to prosper not only your business but the area of Tyre.
Well, there's so many different benefits that this is going to bring to the town of Tyre, not only the town of Tyre but the county of Seneca. Mm-hmm. Throughout, not only from the gaming revenue that's going to be produced, but also the amount of jobs are going to be taken, as 1,800 jobs are going to be given out, and also construction-wise, the another 1,800 construction workers that are going to be really helping out with that. And the whole idea is a lot of this is going to be all centralized and drawn from within. Mm-hmm. And all, they say 90% of everything they're going to do is going to be inside. 90% is going to be New York driven. Mm-hmm. And jobs, construction, everything throughout.
And Bill, of course, you may piggyback those comments as far as what it will do for your business. Obviously, more clientele coming to the area. The Wilmerite projection, according, I don't know how, and by the way, I will be 70, God willing, next April. I've yet figured out how they can project number of visitors coming to a certain event or a certain place, but they're projecting an additional 9,000 visitors a day. Having worked it through away, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, how that's going to get handled. Your views on that as well, same thing as Gary?
Absolutely. For us, we see it not only, we're one of the highest taxpayers in the town, right. And so with the casino being there, that'll virtually eliminate that portion of the tax, so we're happy about that. But also, just the increased traffic will bring in a big influx to our winery, not only our winery, but other wineries in the area. They're talking about having shuttle buses that will bring casino goers out to the wineries. That would be huge for us. And you just think, they have a 1,700 seat venue there to have a show. Mm-hmm. And for us, if they're bringing similar numbers of people that the outlet mall is, then, if 1,700 people are going to go to that show, and, I only have, say I get 1% of them, 17 people that come by and they each buy a bottle of wine on a Friday night, that's pretty big. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Listen, before we get further, let's talk a bit about, should have asked you before, a little bit about your business too. Your family, obviously, the owners of it. Talk a little bit about when it got started and how the family interacts with the business day to day.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's my parents and my brother and I. We all started the business in 1999, and my father used to be a beekeeper a long time ago, and so we were looking for a way to niche market our honey. So that's how we got into honey wine and started building from there. In 2001, we bought the property down here in Tyre and built our Montezuma Winery there, and we've just been expanding ever since. Now. It's still the four of us there every single day working, with our staff, and we our medium-sized New York winery, we produce about 50,000 gallons of wine a year, and we just continue expanding. We built Idle Ridge Winery last year in the town of Lodi. 2007, we put a distillery in our production space too. So, and that's another good thing about the casino is that they're really dedicating themselves to being Finger Lakes,
right?
And they're they're committing themselves to putting Finger Lakes wine on the casino floor and being able to sell our wine right there, and that would be huge, to have somebody be able to taste our wine there, have a glass of it, and then come over and buy it right from the production facilities.
Well, Gary, certainly a lot of people go to your place, Magee Diner, but talk a little bit about your history of your business, when it got started, and how long you've been involved with the business. I know your mom and you, and talk a little bit about when it got all started there.
1995, I believe it was.
95.
That we opened up. Been there almost 20 years. My mom and I got involved, and I actually live in Rochester, but I drive out here. And I remember coming out the one day, and we were looking for a restaurant. My mom wanted to get into a restaurant real bad. I've been in the food business. Went to college for hotel restaurant management at Paul Smith's, and we were driving out here. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing coming out here?
Yeah.
And we saw this little tiny restaurant that 65-seater. Just loved the location, and from there on, it was built on and did good. And my mom has since retired in 2010, and I bought the business from her, and it's been great ever since. It's a great location, and I've always said business generates business, and I learned that. I mean, she was a wise business person. She really was, and she, when the truck stop came in, everyone was, saying, better shut your doors now, and that didn't really happen.
No.
So I learned a lot. I know business generates business, and
Sure.
it creates a lot more traffic. It creates, more visitors. And I'll tell you, Lago is probably one of the most friendly neighbors for businesses and town that I've seen in a long time.
Okay, let's talk. Gary Schlegel, the owner of Magee Diner, along with Bill Martin, a co-owner of the Montezuma Winery, my special guest this morning, talking pro casino, pro Lago. Bill, what have you heard regarding a decision? I understand now they may delay it till after the elections. Is that what you're hearing? Is there any rumors out there as far as when a timeline might hit?
I haven't heard anything yet. They say they have the liberty of when they want to make the decision. So we've got our fingers crossed. We're just
Gary, have you heard anything about after the elections? Now I've heard
probably the same thing that Bill's heard. Anything at this point, the marketing directors that we stay in contact with are saying after the election at this point too.
I wonder now. I know they had the gentleman that's the president of the Hobart College up there, and William Smith, Mark Guerin, oversaw a panel, and I guess then they had the comments from the folks pro and con, and then of course they made presentations, which I saw on the gaming website when they did those. I guess, Jimmy, maybe I don't know how this flows now. Does this go to yet another committee, and then it goes to our legislature?
No, it's up. They're going to choose one.
Okay, so that's
one in our region.
Okay.
It's either going to be Southern Tier or up here
so
in the Finger
it's either
Lakes.
Traditions, which is in Johnson City, Tioga Downs, or Lago.
Correct.
One of the three will get a license. Well, maybe, one of the three should win a license, I assume.
Yeah, and it should be noted, too, that even if we didn't get it up here in the Finger Lakes and they got it down south, we would still receive casino revenue, but it would be less than it would be if it was up here in Tyre. And, of course, with the spin-off benefits for all the local businesses and taxpayers wouldn't be nearly as great. But if it was up, if we have the casino in Tyre, we will have to make payments. Our Wilmerite will have to make payments to the Southern Tier as well. Everybody in our region.
Well, I certainly watch the presentations, and let me play devil's advocate to both of you for a second. That's why we do this show, to get both views. Bill, let's go with you, Bill, first off. You live out in Tyre. You're a farmer. You see the birds. You got the cows. You got the horses. You got a quiet area. Nobody's bothering you. You're kind of living day to day. You're enjoying your quiet life. All of a sudden, 500 yards from your home now will be this Las Vegas casino. with bright lights and swimming pools and gamblers coming from all over the state. That might disrupt the way you live. You can understand people's views about what is going on.
Sure. Yeah, I think. It definitely would change the atmosphere a little bit. But I think on the Wilmerite side of it, they've really done a nice job to mitigate any of the problems that would arise from that, and also the fact that a majority of the traffic is going to come from the thruway. So being so close to the thruway exit that I think that'll be pretty easy to come by. And if you look at what kind of traffic and disturbance the outlet mall creates, that's similar to what the casino will do, and nobody really bats an eye at that.
Yep. And Gary, you know a lot of the people out there. I'm sure you know the folks that support the casino, and I'm sure you have friends that are not supportive of the casino. Let me ask the same question to you. You live down the road from there, and all of a sudden you find out they're going to put this $425 million casino, a 7-iron away from your home. That might, if you're not a casino fan, that might be a little bit alarming to you. It might be.
As a homeowner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I said earlier, I think Wilmerite and Lago together are just putting, the most friendly neighbors and the conscientious of everything that goes around, not only for home, but for business, and every resident of Tyre. And they've gone above and beyond, to be honest with you, to really make things good for everybody, And there's always going to be opposition.
Sure.
There's always going to be opposition no matter what you get. But
exactly, there is. Gary Schlegel, the owner of Magee Diner, is joining us this morning, along with Bill Martin, co-owner of the Montezuma Winery, my special guest. And as usual with this program, we'd like to pay homage to our sponsors and make this show possible. And when we come back off the commercial break, we'll go through a couple of sports topics, get Jimmy to talk about SU. They seem to be in the news now way too much, and not all good stuff either that I've been reading up on. We'll get Jim's view, a graduate of SU, and then we'll come back and talk to Gary and also Bill. This is Weber This Week on a Monday, the 27th of October. Eagle Lake National Bank, Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. Lizard's Tailgater Lounge, Waterloo. Best mott sticks around, where you can enjoy a drink and some laughs. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com. Awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. And by the way, before we get back to Gary and Bill, a couple of comments. I had the opportunity of being a part of a broadcast on Saturday night for Finger Lakes One, which I was kidding these guys before we went on the air. First time we'd ever attempted to broadcast a roller derby bout. It was fun, and thank God. I want to send out kudos to Silver A. Sasson, who is an injured player. She tore up her ACL. She was nice enough to somehow get up to our broadcast vantage point, which, by the way, was great on Saturday night. She was fantastic, and if you get a chance, check it out. It's hilarious. Bodies all over the track. It was really amazing. The Finger Lakes Lunatics dominated the Binghamton BC Rollers. It was really a great match, and myself and Dave Barnick were there calling the action, along with Jeremy and Jason Hunt, and of course Chris Marquardt as well, the engineer. Jimmy was off that night. Jimmy took the night off, and we had Chris running the show from all the gadgets, and it worked very well. So thank you to all the folks at the Lions, my hometown, by the way. Did a great job hosting us, and we really appreciated doing the broadcast. And to the Finger Lakes Lunatics, that's their final bout of the year. You guys deserve a standing O. It was great, great entertainment. Well, let's flip over and talk a little bit about a couple sports items before we get back to Gary and Bill. First off, if you're a World Series fan, and I used to watch the World Series when it started earlier. I fall asleep now before the fourth inning. So I must be honest with you, folks. The Giants lead the series 3-2, but these games take too long. I mean, God, you got to be at the midnight. Giants now lead 3-2. They're going back to KC. KC, the story of baseball this year. 29 years since they were in the big dance, and win or lose, they've played really well. Giants have won the series, as you all know, a few times, so I'm kind of pulling for KC to win the last two at home. That resumes on Fox tomorrow night. SU football, a game effort, Jimmy. You got to be proud against Clemson. They led at halftime. Syracuse played their hearts out, losing by 16-6 count. And, of course, you couldn't be prouder of the way they put up an effort.
Nah, I'm sick of it. Moral victories. Who cares? They lost.
I know. It's an L.
I thought they could win that game.
Yeah,
the Clemson defense was tough. We couldn't move the ball.
Yeah.
We lost.
Yep. And, by the way, just for you, Syracuse has had a string of bowl bids. They're up against it this year. They need 3 more wins. They got 4 left. Here's the arithmetic. 3 more wins needed. You need 6 to qualify for any kind of a bowl opportunity. And, of course, now the pressure is on Schaefer's team because they got Carolina State at the Dome this week. They got to win that one. Then they got Duke coming in the following week at home. They got to win that one. That gets them 5. Then they got a week off, and then they go on the road for Pittsburgh and then Boston College. 2 tough games. So my point is you got to win 3 out of the next 4 to become bowl eligible. Not saying they can't do it, but they got to start this week with a win against Carolina State.
Yeah,
got to do it.
I think they'll do all right.
Now, SU on the other side of the coin, which I'm sure Jimmy might have a comment or not, the NCAA is going to be paying a visit to the Orange Land this coming week. Allegations. A lot of things are happening with North Carolina. You may have been following it. Professors given.
We're making a visit to them.
Yeah.
We're going to go in front of a hearing.
Okay, whatever.
And they're going to say what they found.
Right, but
and it could be anything from nothing to like 2 years postseason ban.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
But anyways, Carolina under a lot of heat as they supposedly were giving out A+ for kids not showing up for class. Nice school. But anyways, SU allegations that they were giving extra benefits to, and basically, Jim, it dealt more with the basketball program versus the football.
Yeah, there was. They said they looked into the football program for something that happened in 2004 and 5, which was Greg Robinson's first year, which would really be a kick, if Greg Robinson ended up, doing something illegal. But
so, anyways,
I think it's mostly tied around Fab Melo's situation, where remember he was suspended in January and thought he was coming back for the NCAA tournament, and then they sat him out again, and there were some academic advisors that used to be on staff. There was an actual member of his staff who was like an NCAA compliance guy, and they fired him in December last year, which was odd. So I think it all ties into that. But who knows? NCAA doesn't say anything. And
no. So they're going to do a little visitation, and we'll see what happens on that. And the other final SU note, if you missed it, you recall the Bernie Fine situation. The molestation allegations. Bernie Fine way back when, a couple years ago, and this all fostered up, and everything got excited. And Bernie Fine, of course, Jim Boeheim lived across the street from each other, and all this stuff has been well documented. Well, a lot of people came forward claiming that Bernie Fine had molested them, but again, nothing really took place. A lot of lawsuits took place, especially one lawsuit that was from a couple of ball boys that worked for Syracuse and was on the bench with Bernie Fine. Bernie took these kids sometimes on road trips. They filed a suit way back when. They did with Bernie. They also filed a lawsuit against Jim Boeheim, who, quote-unquote, made some disparaging remarks about these kids.
He called them liars.
And he also called them they were out for the buck. Well, it went to a lower court. The court dismissed it in our great state of New York. It went to another lower court. They dismissed it. No basis. Guess what, folks? As Lee Corso would say on College Game Day, not so fast. The highest court in New York State says, time out. There is validity to their charges. Maybe they are reinstating it against Boeheim for allegedly defaming these 2 kids, sending it back to the court system. So Jimmy may indeed be writing a check. We'll see what happens. But again, Jimmy, it's going back to the courts. The highest court in the state says there is a basis for the lawsuit. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So it's pretty interesting
I'd
stuff.
like to see him settle.
Yep.
But probably won't if he thinks he's right, which I think he is too.
I was surprised the Court of Appeals believes
it is a money grab.
It is a money grab, right. But the Court of Appeals says there's some basis for it. So Syracuse in the spotlight. Not so many things great this morning, but we'll see how it all turns out. My special guest, Gary Schlegel, along with Bill Martin. And Gary, let's talk a little bit about, as we look at the Lago proposal, you're comfortable with it. It would appear that you made a comment to me at your diner one day. You would be thrilled to get 1% of the traffic going by. And as you know, looking across and seeing Thruway Exit 41, where I used to be in the booth until I left in May, and Bill mentioned about the Thruway traffic, the concern I have, and maybe you guys can give me an update, having literally been in the booth there for several months, I used to look out in May, June, July, August, September, and see cars as far as you could see to the Thruway, because only 40% of the state has Easy Pass. I don't know if you knew that, Bill, but only 40% of our state has Easy Pass, which means 60% have to line up and pay. There's only 2 booths available, lanes, coming off to pay in Waterloo. I know that because I used to be there. I don't know, maybe you can share this wisdom if you found out. Are they expanding to going to take some of that property to the right of the Thruway booths as you see them? Are they going to be doubling or tripling the size of the Thruway to get people off? Because that's the biggest concern I would have. How are they going to get people off there?
I don't know exactly what's going on with all that with the Thruway and everything. I know that Lago is also looking into widening roads. They're going to be funding gas, electric, sewer all the way through.
Okay.
I would assume that if they're going to widen roads, they're going to have to do something with the Thruway. I mean, you look at Turning Stone at this point.
Yeah.
It's the same idea when you get off there. That one was half the size at one point, too.
Because it's got to be doubled. There's no way you could feasibly get people off the Thruway. I mean, I was sitting there, and you'd come up to me and try to pay your toll, and you'd be screaming at me in July because you had to wait 20 minutes to get to me. And, I mean, we're moving people pretty fast, too. It isn't like we're not. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, 9,000 additional visitors, and you pointed out, Bill, earlier in this discussion, most of them may be coming to Thruway. They got to come up with an idea. I'm hoping they double the size of that Thruway toll, because if not, there's going to be bedlam.
Sure. Let's hope they get lots of people off from the Thruway.
They were actually doing some work on the roads last Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know if that was widening or whatever. All I know is they were in front of my restaurant too long.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, you know, it's amazing.
Right on a Friday, no less. But, they were doing some work there now. I don't know if that's casino connected or whatever, but...
I was blown away when I first joined the Thruway that only 40% of our state has Easy Pass, to be honest with you. Yeah, that still blows me away. They don't want Big Brother looking over their shoulder, I guess, so they'd rather pay the toll, which is fine. But, I'm thinking, oh, my God, can you imagine? Bill, you talked about additional tours coming to the winery, yours and other ones that you're in business or competing with. And certainly the limo trade would certainly enhance it. You would have people coming from the casino for perks, and you could run promotions. So this all blends in exactly what you're in business for.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. I mean, if we can just increase the amount of traffic coming in, if you look at the people that are coming to us during the summertime, and they're coming for the wineries, it's really proven. Sure. They're coming from Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, Massachusetts. That's the main core of our audience, and they come here and they want other things to do too, and it's perfect. If you can have a venue for them to go watch some entertainment, they can go to the casino. The lodging alone is great for us, because then if we can get more people to spend more time, they'll spend more money in our community. So
go golf at the St. Paul's Country Club, eat at a number of area restaurants. Even get out on the lakes.
They have already set up a system. I don't know if Bill's had it yet or not, but they you can use your rewards cards.
Yep.
Not only in the casino, but also at my restaurant too. Mm-hmm. And you're promoting that kind of thing.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I thought so too. And they're doing it for a lot of area businesses and stuff like that. So
now, Gary, I'd be remiss, since I come to your place a lot. I may be going after the show here today, but the size of your structure, it seems like you have room for expansion. Is that something you're thinking of down the road? Is that something you would consider if the Lago does take place?
Of course I'd consider it.
Yeah.
I just gave you 2 new bathrooms, so we'll work on that. We'll start from there. I'll give it a year. See what happens.
Every time I come to your place, I know you have room there. You have additional room, and I'm thinking, the Lago Casino kicks in. You may need a bigger place.
Well, it's easy to say. You can add another 40 seats to a restaurant. The kitchen's the same size still. So.
Well, I'm still amazed you get the food out as quick as you do with the size of your kitchen. That blows me away. You
great.
do a phenomenal
It's
job
taken
there.
me 20 years to find those people. So.
It's amazing.
Having good people.
Exactly.
We talked about that before they came down. Finding good people. I'm sure, Bill, you could speak to that too.
Absolutely.
Finding good employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, as we look at the time watch, it's getting close to the end of the show, but I certainly pull for you. I like to gamble. My wife Mary loves slots. I mean, we have been known to go to Turning Stone on occasion, and we have been known to go to Canada once in a while. We like the excitement, and it's nice if you win. I guess the issue I had the police chief on a week ago here in the town of Seneca Falls, Stu Peenstra, along with Sergeant Tim Snyder. And with anything like an enterprise, like a casino, the element of crime, there's that element to deal with. And I'm not saying we're going to have an all-out crime war out here, but that's a concern that the local sheriffs and people will be attending to as well. That's what they get paid to do, and that's why they support us. But I think overall, I like the idea. Am I crazy really about the exact location? Not really, but I can live with it because I've been a Seneca Falls guy, and I think, when I first heard about it, to Gary's point, I've told him this before, Tyre. You mean over that bridge? I mean, I just couldn't fathom it at first. I got to admit, and again, I just couldn't believe. To me, I said to me, why not, down 318 or somewhere like that? I don't know. It just didn't strike me to be that perfect place. But then again, they've done a lot.
Throughway, man.
Yeah, they've done
perfect.
a great amount of work
Yeah.
involved, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And you got to be in the game to be a part of the game. And I think you two gentlemen have come on the show this morning supporting it, and I respect that, and I pull like mad for it because I don't have any money in the game personally. I think from an economic standpoint, it brings, as Gary pointed out, jobs, construction jobs, employees that want to work there.
Business generates business.
Business generates, and
You're talking about that many jobs. You're talking about a significant, increase into the amount of people that live here that can own homes
Right.
or
they're
keep
good
up
paying
on their
jobs.
rent and go out to eat and go to the grocery, and spend money in other local business. So to me, everybody focuses on the people coming into the community to go to Lago, which is important, and that's the reason you're going to need all these employees. But it's the hundreds of other jobs that are going to then redistribute some of that money into the community.
Right.
So
it's going to be interesting. So let me say, first off, Bill, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. We'd love to have you come back.
Absolutely.
During prime season, during the summertime. Be nice.
Sure.
So, and Gary, always good seeing you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks a lot for coming in, and I might see you in a little while for a little breakfast. You never know. The dog's hungry. When the dog's hungry, the dog is hungry.
hey, I got a quick note, dog.
Yeah.
Here, Jan Caracillo wanted everyone to know that she was on the show last week to
Yep.
promote the Diamonds in Denim
I was there.
event at the Gould.
Yep.
They made over $7,000 for
Awesome.
what was it, the House of Concern?
That's
Was
fun.
there?
That's
All right.
phenomenal. Yeah, we were there. Yeah, it was a great night. Great night. And I even got Mike Jackson to buy me a drink. And it took 50 years to do it. So he dressed up with a nice tuxedo too. He looked like Frank Sinatra. Yeah. But anyways, Dog always remembers those people that buy drinks. Listen, next week, folks. Speaking of guests, Gary and Bill joined us this morning. We have a bevy list of guests. Let's check this out here. See right on screen. This guy's good, isn't he? Next week we bring in the owners of the Belhurst Castle, personal friends of mine, talking about the castle. They just got written up by USA Today and the Travel magazine for their spa and their outstanding castle, which you can't beat it, folks. It's really a cut above the rest. Belhurst Castle owners will be with me next week talking about their business. And then on the 10th, we bring in Lorraine Withers and Kathy Jans Duffy. Why is that important? Because Elizabeth Cady Stanton will turn 199. That's older than Gary Schlegel. No. They'll be here talking about that event, the big November 15th, I believe it is, 199 years. On the 17th, we bring in Steve Money and Dennis Money and Steve Churchill. Steve, of course, one of our board of supervisors. Why do they want to talk about Seneca Army Depot? To make that a visitor's delight. Check out the white deer. A lot of controversy on the Seneca Army Depot. Can we get that figured out? It's going to be a lot of issues involved in making that a travel destination. So they want to come in and talk about that, led by Dennis Money. Then on the 24th of November, we bring in Jeff Rook talking about the 5K It's a Wonderful Life Run, which is a annual event, spectacular. And somebody we just added, Jimmy, and you're going to update the chart. I've been trying to get this guy on for a year and a half. David Shaw, who is an excellent Finger Lakes Times reporter, and if you don't know David Shaw, just read about any Indian issue. Any of the uprisings that have taken place with the Indians, which happens about every day and a half around here, David Shaw is the writer. He's been writing for the Finger Lakes Times for, I guess, 30 years. I've known him a long time. We're going to get him on the couch, talk about his great career as a writer, and unfortunately, or fortunately for him, he doesn't have to worry about doing stuff. It's always about the Indians. So David Shaw joins us on December the 1st. We have some openings left for the year. If you'd like to be a part of the show, let us know your topic. Just send us an email. We'd be more glad to book you. And we will put you, as Bill and Gary know, on the couch. Take care, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks for
All right.
Guys.
Thanks, guys. And we'll catch you next week. Again, enjoy the weather today and tomorrow. And if you're in the golf, baby, tomorrow and Wednesday, it's definitely going to be nice. The Country Club closes officially this coming Sunday, right, Jimmy?
Going to be open through November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Yeah.
There
for
you go.
food and,
all right. So it'll be open. Get out there and swing the clubs. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week. And again, it was always good to have my friends join us on the show this morning. That's Weber This Week, my way.
By becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com